On this episode of the John1911 Podcast, cylinder and slide saved, super cool 22s, the Clayton Bigsby shooting, and was reefer madness real?
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. This is Danny and Marky, and this is episode 302 of the John1911 Podcast. Danny is back in from the cold. Is that what you wanted to call it? Back in from the cold?
Yeah, like the spy that came in from the cold. In this entire high school and college officiating season, baseball season, only one game I have not had to have a jacket or long johns up here.
It's been that cold?
Yes, it's been the most miserable year that I could ever remember.
Hashtag global warming. Hey, by the way, since you're coming in from the cold like the spy, this is episode 302, which would be the document that the FBI fills out when they're doing their interviews.
Oh, that's right. It's 302.
Yeah, they're having a 302. So just get ready. Bend over. Here it comes.
Here comes the audit.
The listeners want to know what's been going on with you. So I guess you recently had a birthday.
Yes, I did. Thank you. Yes, I did.
We would say that Danny has turned 69, but the reality is, no matter which way you turn it, it's 69. So,
yeah, top or bottom at 69.
Yeah,
we did. They would not put 69 candles, on the cake for one. There was no room, and two, they were worried about the fire alarm going off.
The fire marshal came by and said, "Nah,
put out that. Yeah, there's a no burning ordinance."
Yeah. Oh my God. So, what's been going on with you besides? So you've been real busy with. So you've been gone a while. And,
yes, I have.
We've missed a lot of political stuff. Chief political correspondent Danny, but you've been dealing with some some issues within your family had to help address. Nothing
correct,
crazy, but it's been a lot.
But fortunately, between work, between everything, medical issues, this or that, it's all finally now starting to recede, and it's getting nice and all back to normal. I mean, I missed the whole Tucker Carlson firing. The King's coronation, a Texas shooting. There's so much that is going on, and it's just like, where do we start? So whatever you want to lead into, I'm good with anything.
Well, the Tucker Carlson firing isn't even over. Like, that is not, like it's what I guess what I don't understand is, what I don't understand, if the theory of the case would be regarding Fox News and the first settlement. Mind you, there's a second one going to be coming. That the part of the reason why they wrote that big check is they did not want to have members of the Fox News staff, or talent people on stand having to testify under oath and answering questions. The whole proverbial Watergate thing. It's not just a crime; it's to cover up. It's what did you know and when did you know it?
Right.
And
the out of sight, out of mind theory.
Well, yeah, and so the idea of, well, we don't want this to happen. They thought that they could. There was an argument to be made that they could win the lawsuit. The idea, we're just reporting what's being said, not that we're saying it, but that's their defense. And there was an argument to have been made that they could have possibly won that. But then the countervailing result would have been the damage to the news division and their ability to make money. So then why stroke the big check to turn around and fire Tucker? Because the reality is, Sean Hannity's the one that's going to be leaving Fox News. Within 18 months, I predict, and I could be wrong because maybe he'll stick through the election, but Sean Hannity's got one foot out the door already at Fox. And, he's to the point that, he's basically come out with his relationship with that Ainsley Earhart girl who works at Fox. And because, he's in a point of his career, he's like, he just doesn't give a fuck. He's like, whatever. It's like, I'm out of here. I've made all the money I can. I'm tired of this. I've got 500 investment properties. I don't care anymore. And so you could see he was on his way out. And so he could even maybe have, left Fox News early. But then why fire? Because then it's like, well, then Tucker's the real flagship brand of Fox. Why fire him if they're going to still stroke the big check? And while we're on it, Maria Bartiromo, I think she's probably on her way out. And because when she was brought over from CNBC, the argument was she was the top dog at CNBC. She was a superstar. I can't remember who was the band that did a song about her. Is it the
Oh,
Jack
I know
White
what.
or what's it called? The
Yeah.
White
So
Stripes.
yeah, right. I can't think of it right now.
And they were like, hey, they got her this big contract. Come over to Fox News Business, and we'll make a whole new thing, and you could be part of it from the ground up. That has not worked out. Fox News Business has not really worked. It's turned into more of just the commentary, and so they could offload her from this. They could Hannity's probably out within a reasonable amount of time, and Tucker Carlson's the future. And it's like, what the hell's going on over there? It's like you start asking yourself, what's. I don't think we're being told the truth as to why. Whatever's being told right now about why Tucker Carlson was fired is I don't believe it. I don't. I may
No.
be half true, but we don't have the full story yet.
Well, I had heard, of course, read from a lot of different sources that Tucker's still getting paid because
Yes.
no matter what, if he got cut, he's still getting paid. But part of the deal was to get him from keeping talking on his show. And also part of his contract was he can't say anything. Besides the no compete clause, he also can't open up about anything. In other words, keep your mouth shut. We'll pay you until your contract expires.
Well,
By this time,
he hasn't agreed to that. I mean, he was effectively terminated. The only debate right now with Tucker Carlson is they're gonna pay the rest of his contract out.
right, right,
So
right,
you're kind of couching that as some kind of like mutual agreement. Like that's not like he was terminated. He was taken off the air. Now the next debate will be, um, is he going to get his rest of his contract? Which, unless there's a reason for cause in the contract or a moral turpitude violation of some kind, um, he's probably going to get his money. Which I guess was reported. I didn't realize how much he was making. It's $20 million a year, but I have another
right.
data point that I've subsequently learned. Fox News, Tucker Carlson's show has been a subject of a number of boycotts, people targeting advertisers. And
Right.
apparent, as crazy as this sounds, I read some report somewhere that said that Tucker Carlson's show wasn't technically making money
Really?
because they didn't have enough advertisers because the advertisers were boycotting it. Like I don't know, like if I don't watch Fox really anymore. Like I hadn't in a long time, unless like some big breaking news story. Like when was the last time? Like here's a question: when was the last time a Fox News viewer, if you're at home, you saw a Pfizer commercial during Tucker Carlson's show?
You don't see any of the Fortune 500 companies advertise because I think they're liberal ran and they don't want to
Oh no, no,
then
wait
they
a
don't want to spend money on a conservative network.
Well, you're just full of shit because I just told you, Pfizer runs like I don't look all these pharmaceutical companies, they come up with these drugs and then they have some Latin based name that's like hydroxychloroquine, shimanala, whatever, then they rebrand it as Simplex 5 and Simplex 5 or Cymbalta or Novoxrum or whatever bullshit name, and then he run these commercials. You see those
Right.
commercials all over and all up and down Fox News, especially at night. Do you see him? You just don't see him between 8 and 9 o'clock on Tucker Carlson's show.
There's a reason.
Well, that's the reason. I mean, it's like they're spending. You can't say they don't spend money on conservative news outlets when they're spending a ton. They're probably the number one advertiser for Fox.
Uh, well, maybe during the Tucker Carlson hour they just needed to sell more pillows. I don't know.
Well, yeah, but like how much? Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, is number one is that I'm not speaking from authority on the advertising for Tucker Carlson. because I haven't watched it. So, were you only seeing My Pillow commercials on during Tucker Carlson's show?
I haven't watched it in a bit, but it was predominant. I'll say that. But here's what I think we're both missing here is Tucker Carlson, like it or not, had a giant fan base. And I think the reason that he didn't get all the good advertisers, like I said, back to the liberal thing, is his fan base was conservative and ultra conservative. And these companies that might have liberal leanings steering his hour didn't want to support his views or his fan base, is why I think they stayed away.
I think they were targeted. I think the whole point of advertising is to reach people, and whether you're, I mean, is Coca-Cola a conservative or a liberal product? And see,
There,
the problem is once you go there, you can't win. And
correct.
nobody can win. It's a self-destructive argument. Let's go to the Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light
Right.
shit. I never in my life, because I don't drink alcohol ever, did I expect that I would know so much about a beer company. Okay, like
How about it?
I mean, I'm literally like, I couldn't have told you who owned Bud Light, what Bud Light was versus another one, until all this crap happened. So, have you seen the latest? Well, I don't know what the latest is. I mean, where are you up to speed on the Bud Light Dylan Mulvaney debacle?
The lady that was in charge of orchestrating that is temporarily on assignment or whatever they're calling it. I think she got canned. Um, Bud Light stock or Anheuser-Busch stock, whatever you want to call it, I guess has dropped, and their quarter loss, they said, is in the billions.
Yeah. And they lost, I think it was, and I haven't looked this up today, but they had a market cap loss of 6 or 7 billion. That's market capitalization. That's a measurement of stock. Now,
Right.
and then, but that's just what intraday trading or trading of the stock price. And then when you come out with the earnings numbers, and so, it's a lot of us, at least myself, part of me's like, again, but I'm not, this would be a good example of why I would not probably be a good person to run advertising for Bud Light because I'm not your customer. But I would have been under the opinion, and I'm still of the opinion, a year from now or 2 years from now, everybody that's banning or boycotting Bud Light will be drinking Bud Light because cheap beer is cheap beer, and if you want to drink cheap beer, it's what you're going to drink. I could be wrong, but I think as far as that one woman getting fired, I thought was amazing. I would the woman, like I'd seen her, we talked about her. I don't remember her name, but I can see her face. I would call what we would like here in Cincinnati is in the P&G world, we would call her a brand manager. That's what they would call it down there at P&G. And so she she's come out. She gave her reasons as to why she did this. And obviously, you can make an argument it was more about her biases, what she wanted it to see, what she wanted,
Correct.
and it's like, why are you inserting this into beer? But she did it, and there was a big back. Then Kid Rock does his thing with the
With
MP5 and the bottle rockets or the Roman candle, which people like. I've never seen an MP5 shoot because there's a dude with a Roman candle off to the side. But hey, it's fine. I would have thought much like these people. In a month and a half, this will blow over. And apparently it hasn't. She's now gone on a leave of absence, as you said. And this has the potential to turn from a culture war mistake, like, short term, 72 hour, whatever news cycle until the next crisis happens. And then everybody moves along. Like
right.
David Hogg, David Hogg, David Hogg, David Hogg, David Hogg. Now you can't find him with a search warrant. Okay. And be something else they can talk about. This may go down in advertising circles as the biggest fail since New Coke.
Well, that's a very good analogy. But let's look at, here's the questions that, a few quick questions I have it. A, the lady that okayed this and started, with this new advertising campaign, doesn't or didn't she not report to somebody, or was pushing her woke agenda? She had free reign in doing it. There had to be some form of oversight, or unless there wasn't, just like the banks that failed in California, they didn't have oversight commissioners and they failed. Did Bud Light have oversight commissioners thinking, hey, wait a minute, this woke movement has gone too far, maybe this isn't a good idea? Did she have free reign? I don't
Well,
know. But when you take,
I have the answer for you.
well, I'll
This is
take it.
not debatable. There are interviews of this woman before the Dylan Mulvaney commercial came out. And she's talking, and she said, I was hired to save this brand. I was hired to get rid of the frat boy party image because our brand is in decline. This idea that this woman, she's the brand manager, but the idea that she's like went rogue, is
Uh,
preposterous. Is preposterous. And now we're getting a situation where, if is it Anheuser-Busch that owns Bud Light? Is that who it is? Which is
yes,
InBev, which is
yes.
in Belgium? Like, really? Like, how many?
They own like 16 different beer
Well, heck,
brands.
like, made, America, whatever. Drinking a Bud Light, turns out you're drinking a Belgian beer. Like, okay, like, all right, like, I did not know that, but it's like, okay, Bud Light has a huge problem, or InBev, or whomever these people are. They have a huge problem, because this is going to turn into the Tucker Carlson, um, and the lawsuit with Fox News. If they throw this woman overboard and try to say that she sucks and this is her fault and she went rogue, and they trash her, immediately she's going to sue them. Because wait, hold
That
on, wait,
Go
she's
ahead.
going to turn around and she's going to sue them. And it's going to be like, and all the lawyers are going to start sharpening their pencils, and their letters are going to be sent out, and it'd be like, preserve your documents and get ready for discovery, because there's going to be emails and phone calls and text messages from this woman to her bosses and them when they're hiring her, and whatever, and like her onboarding, congratulations, you're promoted, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. This idea that this woman did all this by herself is fucking, and that's why they can't do it. And she's going to bury him, because if they try to ruin her career and claim that she did this without their at least tacit approval, they're going to have to write her a big ass check.
That's why she's reassigned. She might be reassigned. Oh, they'll pay her the same. They won't demote her pay in any way, but she might be she might be in charge of cleaning the horse stalls for the Clydesdales. Who
Well,
knows?
that's what I'm discussing, is the problem that the C-suite has with the situation. And what a lot of people that are consumers, especially of large of products of large publicly traded companies, don't understand, is the idea of a board. Okay, and so, unlike the NRA, which has a board of 76 people, which means you don't have a board. Most boards are like, what, 12 people, maybe 8
Right.
to 12. It can vary, but depending on how it's structured, and the amount of, different groups have authority to put people on the board. But a board is constructed of industry professionals or business professionals, and they can come from all walks of life, but they tend to be authoritative people. And the board is the governing body that 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 guides the fiduciary responsibility to stockholders to make sure that this business is run properly. And you can make an argument that the CEO and the CFO and the chief marketing officer and all these people are in a cabal to try to save this woman without getting sued. But if I was on the board of InBev or whatever this company is, and I wake up one day and I'm like, The fuck
We just lost $10 billion.
and I'm like, the fuck is our goddamn stock fucking down 6%. We're not in the business of stock going down 6%. And then a week later, it's like sales are down, whatever. And then, a couple days later, it's like there's pictures everywhere of Bud Light stuff being, not sold. And it's like it's in stores. And then you got delivery drivers who are doing videos. And he's like, I don't know. And he works for InBev or Bud or whatever it is. And he's like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to feed my family. I've never seen it like this. This is unbelievable. And, like he's an innocent victim. At some point, a board has a fiduciary responsibility to start whacking motherfuckers. And this is true whether and fiduciary responsibility means money. Fiduciary responsibility means numbers. 2 + 2 = 4. 2 + 2 doesn't equal Green New Deal, or 2 + 2 doesn't equal lipstick. Okay? And at some point, the board is going to have to make a decision. And the board is probably not only going to have to fire the brand manager girl, whatever her actual name is. And she seems like a perfectly nice, decent person, objectively speaking, from my perspective. They're probably going to have to fire the CEO. They're probably going to have to fire the chief marketing officer. They're going to have, the thing is, you've got CEO, CFO, CMO trying to manage the public image and with this woman and Dylan Mulvaney. I think maybe there's like a family ownership here too of something with this company. But there's going to come a point when this gets to be so bad. Because here's the thing, even if a family owns this company, like it's a family-run business or it's still a publicly traded company. And at some point, the board can be. Do you think somebody with the name of Ford hasn't ever been fired from Ford Motor Company? They most certainly have.
Etzel.
Yeah, they
Etzel.
most certainly have. And and there's going to come a point when people have lost enough money and this nonsense goes on and on and on that it's no longer going to be about Little Miss marketing, a brand manager in New York City who really obviously probably has no business taking cheap ass beer and inserting into the culture war. And they're going to wipe out a bunch of these people because there's going to come a point when the board and the stockholders are going to demand it. It's like, because if they don't and they don't meet a fiduciary responsibility, they could be sued by stockholders.
Right. Well, here's the bottom line, though. Yeah, we could talk about the business aspect, and we all know that Anheuser-Busch is taking the hit or whatever. But how about not only Anheuser-Busch in this instance, our other companies, they misjudged the American people with wanting to accept that woke movement. And that has to be looked into as an aspect also.
There is this is where there's a problem. Okay. There's a problem. And the problem is, it's my problem. It's your problem. It's all of our problem. It's all of our fault. It's social media. And, I remember when, I guess it was the guy, who was the guy that they put, the cops into, was it Detroit? Was it in Detroit? No, was it I don't want to say the wrong state. This started the Black Lives Matter. Like this started the one where the where the cop kneed on the guy's neck.
Oh, George
Floyd. Okay, so all right. And so then what you started seeing, and I call it the George Floyd effect. There was you would see a day where like people would put a solid black square as a post on their social media. And it was their solidarity with, like protesting what was going on with George Floyd.
I remember that.
Okay, and then very quickly what happened, what the problem is, very quickly what happened was, and this is where things get real dangerous with mobs, and it gets real dangerous with I would call them lefty mobs, but this can also get real dangerous with the extreme right, because the left will do it as you're not down for the struggle or down for the revolution. You're a traitor to the revolution if you don't virtue signal. To the right, historically, this argument has always been, I'm holier than thou. I can make a holier than thou argument, so you're not holy enough. I'm holier than you. Let me show the world how I'm holier than you. And it turned into, from people putting black squares up, to then it turned into going after people. Why the fuck don't you have a black square up? And why don't you have a black square up? And like Coca, then
Right.
it turned into companies. Why don't you have a black square up? Well, everybody, here's the answer. And I'm going to go back to Dylan Mulvaney and the story that I read yesterday or the day before. So, now InBev and Bud, they're backing off of this, right? And like they're trying to scramble, like it wasn't a campaign, it was a social media post. This wasn't what you think it is. Don't believe your lying eyes. This wasn't what you think it was, which is okay, fine. Keep spinning until the board whacks all of you assholes. Now, because they're coming off of it, a bunch of gay bars in your hometown, Chicago, which I guess are owned by a guy, they've come out.
I like the analogy feed in. Go screw yourself.
Apparently there is a room for that at the gay bar. So go screw yourself. So that'd be the perfect name for a gay bar. Go screw yourself. I have a story. I have a story. Okay, in a minute. So these gay bars have now come out, and they are saying that is it Budweiser? Whatever Bud Light and whomever all these companies are, like all the shit that they sell. Like I don't even know all the shit they sell. A bunch of stuff. They're dropping all of it because they're like, you're weak, you're this, you're catering to intolerance, and you're doing this and you're doing that. So everybody, just to make it clear, like I don't give a fuck about them fucking gay bars. That's great. I mean, that's fine. But this is why you don't take a business and insert it into these issues. Because before this started, Budweiser was the number one cheap beer in America. I did not know that. And now you've got, do you think Kid Rock and his buddies will ever drink that shit again? No. Now wait. And everyone's like, everyone on my side's like, you're goddamn right. I'm fucking get my own Roman candle and MP5. Okay. Now you got a bunch of gay dudes out there. You think those fuckers are ever going to drink fucking Bud Light ever again? No, because the thing is,
they went the other way.
They're going to be like, talk about like they will never fucking forget, like, because they can be militant because they're such a small community, and it's just like, so this, everybody, is why you don't take, if you're in the widget business, you don't start talking about abortion. Or if you're in the widget business, you don't start talking about anal sex. Okay? You're in the widget business. Okay? Not this bullshit. And what the problem is with social media, and it's infected all of these people, is everybody feels like you're now working as a brand manager at these companies, and you've kind of got this religion that you've been raised with a stereotype that you're this and the other people are less than this. And so then you're like, I have an idea. Let's take a basic product that services a certain market and put my own shit on there, my own beliefs, my own desires, or my own worldview that has nothing to do with fucking beer. And then I can go run around New York City and be like, I'm the first female brand manager of Budweiser. I'm the first whatever that did this. In the meanwhile, you have destroyed billions of dollars of market value from a worldwide publicly traded company that is apparently losing a fuck ton of money in sales, which is going to bring the market cap down even more. And the very people that you were saying, I'm on your side, they now hate your ass too. And at some point, you're sitting at the board of a company that sells alcohol and be like, my argument against this behavior is not any different than the argument I have made on this very podcast about why I hate H&K Firearms as a company. They've gotten a lot better the past 5 years, but their board has behaved so irresponsibly with their fiduciary duty to run a good company that you just want to get an axe handle out and start bashing people's heads in. We are in the business of selling guns. We are in the business of selling beer. Why the fuck are you not giving the people that buy your products what they want? H&K fucking
Good
does it.
point.
Fucking Budweiser does it. And this is, and now nobody's fucking happy. This, I mean, as a business
Yeah.
person, I'm just like, it's becoming incredibly clear to me that going to college and going to business school or getting a lot, you're wasting your money.
Yep. But, how do I want to say this? You can't pacify everyone. Stick to your business, make your stockholders happy, and don't get involved with, be it right wing stuff or woke stuff. I don't want to go either way. Just let your product speak for
The
itself.
argument of saying you can't pacify everyone has to come from the adults at the beginning of the argument, not when you're embroiled in a self-inflicted seppuku, where you're basically cutting
Right.
your own guts out of your belly. You're like, well, I
Right.
can't, our customer base is all pissed off and they're shooting Roman candles and subguns at our products. And be like, oh, you can't pacify everyone. Fuck, yes, you can. Well,
But
guess what? The board will. It's coming.
right.
It's
And
coming.
like I want to reiterate back to is that when they let her do this or she did it on her own, whatever it is, they very, very much underestimated the American people's thoughts on this woke thing. And it's speaking in dollars right
Well,
now.
but again, it's speaking in dollars, and let's talk dollars. So very quickly, within a reasonable amount of time, but I'd say before end of second quarter, well, end of third quarter for sure, possibly end of second quarter, 2023. We're gonna find out very quickly what kind of board is it InBev, the Budweiser board has. Because is it a
Right.
board that actually functions as a board that has to operate in the best interest of its shareholders? Or is it a board like the NRA that lets Wayne LaPierre do whatever the fuck he wants and trash the company? And we're about to find out, because if it at this point it's no longer an issue of whether the brand manager woman is going to lose her job. Like, whatever's going to happen to her has happened to her. She's going to be the scarlet letter of New Coke on her fucking head. But it's going to be chief marketing officer. It's going to be CFO, CEO, COO. It's going to be a quadruple homicide, because they're going to have to.
Right.
I mean, like, because they keep digging and digging and digging, and even at some point, you may see a situation where, again, somebody with the last name of Ford gets pushed out of the company. Somebody who's a family that apparently owns this fucking dumpster fire is going to get run out of the board, or going to get run out of this company.
Right.
And be like, guess what? You're a majority stakeholder. Get the fuck out, bitch. And it's like, this is
And
crazy.
and here's another known unknown, I don't want to say codicil, another known fact that I think is going to come out of this. You don't think other major companies are sit back watching and saying, let's not go there. We're not going to touch this
Mm-hmm.
shit. Let's just keep the fuck out of
Mm-hmm.
it. You know
As
what I
they
mean?
should.
And watch. Yeah, they'll watch this dumpster fire and say, we don't want to get burned ourselves. And that's why I again go back to it. They underestimated what people really thought. So if I owned a company, I'm going to say, I'm sure not going to make that mistake. Keep your fucking mouth shut. You know what I mean? And just let the
thing
brand
is,
go
for
for
some
itself.
companies, it pays off.
For some, but
And
for some
they've
it
been
don't.
getting away with this for years. Ben and Jerry's. Ben and Jerry's.
Oh, that's
Dude,
right.
look, dude, most people that are on my side of the aisle, okay, that are following,
Are not they're not chunky monkey addicts?
they're following this story, that have strong opinions about Budweiser, really don't care about this issue because they don't actually pay attention to businesses behaving like this, and because they get rewarded for it. Ben and Jerry's has been doing this for years. Okay, Nike did this with Colin Kaepernick and all the kneeling. Okay,
Right.
the NFL, everybody, hey, dude, hey, everyone is talking about how fucked Budweiser is. I still seem to think Roger Goodell has his fucking job at the NFL.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. If you're sitting around and you're so certain how this is going to play out, as far as like whether it's going to be a positive or a negative or whatever, yeah, okay, yeah, NFL. You watched fucking NFL this weekend, didn't you, motherfucker? Yeah. I mean,
No.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the listener. It's like, people that they have, they get, the left does this all the time. Okay. You get someone who puts on a pussy hat and they start screaming at the sky in front of the fucking, the TV cameras. They go crazy and they get a ton of press. And then within 4 weeks, there's a new crisis and a new problem, and everybody moves on. It's easy for me to sit here and slam Budweiser because I don't drink the beer, and I don't agree with how the business is being run, the decision to do this, and I don't consume the product, so I'm not the target market. I've been very critical of the NFL. I hate all that fucking kneeling. I fucking hate it. I
Right.
still hate it. But the truth is, I'm not their customer base. The only football game I ever watch is the Army Navy game.
I know the
Yeah,
answer.
everyone knows that's the Army Navy game, because you know what? No matter who plays, no matter at the end of every game, America wins, and it's not a bunch of selfish
Right.
sons of bitches running around with millionaires pretending that they're fucking victims, and
Right.
and being
Self-righteous.
taught that going through life resenting everything. I just like, whatever. It's like, fine, okay. But the thing is, this stuff is paid off, and it's paid off, and it's paid off, and now it's starting not to pay
Well,
off.
maybe it's also came to a
Mm-hmm.
head, and this might be a
Mm-hmm.
turning point.
I
Also,
mean, Disney's getting whacked. I don't know what's going on with Disney.
they're getting whacked with customer base and with
You know what?
DeSantis.
I don't. I
He
do not know if that's true. I do not know if they're getting whacked with their customer base. I am not. I mean, am I? Do I know what the market capitalization of Goofy is? I have no idea. Do I know if the Disney Cruise Line is up or down? I have no idea. I don't. I'm not. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, right, exactly. It'll be a time will tell. See, speaking about seeing, did you get that picture of the Glock revolver I
Yeah.
sent you? How stupid!
The thing is, Danny sent me a photograph of a Glock 19. It was in a glass case, and it said it was a rimfire revolver. And you know what? It's a photograph. It's on the internet. It could have been modified. It could have been somebody took the gun out of the case and they put it back on the wrong stand. I mean, it's like I get it. I mean, like in 2004, I would have been like, ha ha, that's fucking incredible. And now it's just like, whatever. I don't even know what I'm looking at here.
Speaking about gun, it's bad part of anything to do with a gun. But did you see the Texas shooting?
Of course I have. Whenever you know what? Go ahead. What's the latest on Texas? I'm sure you know more about it than I do. What's the latest?
Well, the FBI now, what I read
Mm-hmm.
this morning on it, is going back into this guy's, as they always do, personal background, posts this, and now they have psychologists at the FBI trying to figure out why he had that motive. That's what I was reading today.
Yeah, okay.
So
Yeah, I
I
mean
don't
the
know.
the
It's
the, the FBI profilers is a thing. Like, I mean, that is a
right.
thing. Like, so, like, I heard some rumors. Again, a lot of this stuff when it starts happening, I intentionally tune out. Number one, because I'm not in a position to be responsible for it or to affect the outcome. So I don't like to follow these kinds of stories minute by minute, hour by hour, because first reports are almost always wrong, and the shit that everyone believes to be true eventually will change, and it's an argument over narrative, not facts. And so it's just like, well, let everybody respond, do what they have to do the investigations, start figuring out what's real and what isn't real. And I guess now it's come out that this person uh, possibly might have been kicked out of the army in 2008 under a remember I remember not who was the guy in MASH that it was a Klinger, uh
Klinger, they always dressed up like the girl that he
yeah.
kicked out on a
Yeah, and
Section
then they used
8.
to call it the Section 8, and apparently this guy was kicked out of again, for reports could be incorrect, but he was kicked out of the army on a mental thing, and it's like, I don't know, does that keep you, like, what's the status of his discharge? Does that keep you from being able to pass a 4473 that's not mentally adjudicated? But it's like, again, this guy, you start asking yourself, I highly doubt that this person, when it's all said and done, and you start talking to people that interface with this person, that they're gonna be like, "Oh, I had no idea. Like him, he was the nicest whatever guy." Like, I seriously doubt this guy's going to end up being, you know, be like, "Oh yeah, I could see that." Just
Did
how we've talked about on this podcast, a guy I knew that worked for the federal government, that we were definitely concerned that he was going to, go postal. I'll use that phrase. And
did you did you hear how he was taken out?
you,
There was a cop there for a different call, and he heard all the ruckus and went running over there. But by that time, unfortunately, damage was done, and he ended up taking the guy
how
out.
long? How long before when the first shot was fired to he was killed? Did they have a given time?
I did not get the time frame. The story just said that an officer was there on an unrelated call and heard the commotion and went over, and he apparently had seen the carnage and got the
Yeah,
guy
I
somehow.
mean,
They're not giving a
yeah,
lot
I've
of
seen pictures
detail.
of the guy, and I guess now there's reports that he's got a name. What is his name? Yeah, I shouldn't say his name, but he's got a
Yeah.
name that is like his last name. Like his first name is Italian, look sounding to me, and his last name is Hispanic. But he is apparently a white supremacist. And it's like, okay, I guess. And now that's kind of morphed into maybe a Nazi. And it's like, I guess he had a patch on that they're claiming was, like, this is an example. Like, he had some patch on his fucking body, whatever his bullshit was. It said, what was it? It was RWDS. And they're claiming that stood for right wing death squads. And look, I'm not that I'm up on the latest, cracker slang of losers that run around the woods and want to blame everyone else for their fucking problems. I've never heard of, I was like, what is RWD? Like, I literally heard that, and I'm thinking, are they making that shit up? Like, okay,
Yeah.
what if you find out that RWDS stands for, I don't know,
Who knows? It could be
repel.
his. It could be
I
his
mean, yeah,
treehouse
like
club. Who
repelling,
knows?
wing shooting, deer hunting, and cooking it for supper. Like, I'm like, okay, what? It's like, this seems weird. And then it's like his name. Now he's a white
Well,
supremacist, but he's got this really Hispanic name, and I'm like, okay, so you're telling me he's Clayton Bigsby here? Like, he's like the Dave Chappelle, leader of the Klan. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing conspiracy theories here, but I'm just like, this is an obviously fucked up person, and a lot of
Did you
fucked up people.
did you see what kind of weapon he had or
I saw
no?
an AR. I saw an
It
AR
was
on
an
the
AR.
ground next to
Okay.
his body. I think it had a carry handle on
All
it.
right.
It was an M4 style shorty, 16-inch, and it had a carry handle. I don't recall if it was removable or flat top, if it was a fixed or removable. But it had a carry handle on it. Um, um,
All right.
but
Well, the reason I'm asking is because here go the gun
yeah,
grabbers
I mean
again.
the fucking but it's like, all right, again, this guy's crazy. And we don't put crazy in jail until they commit a serious crime or until they murder somebody. And it's like,
Right.
and apparently he's now a white. This is white supremacy because he's Clayton Bigsby. He's the black Klan member now, and it's like that's where we're at. Like it's okay. He can't be just fucking crazy. It still has to be about guns and fucking white supremacy and guns. Because now the argument is if you're pro Second Amendment, this is just white
Right.
supremacy. It's like, all right, okay, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing, right? You just what we're doing. All right, okay. Just like we're going to put the fucking dude in a dress on the beer can. Like we're not going to have a real conversation here. We're going to project fake shit on the
Right.
stuff and not solve any problems, and then be surprised when it all fucking blows up on us again. Okay, all right. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. It leads back. Everything always leads back to square one, and it is too. It
Yeah,
unfortunately. Well, you have any gun content?
I got a few things. There's a word out, cylinder and slide, which is a very old gunsmithing. I think it was Bill. Was it Bill Loffridge? Loffridge. He was retiring, and going out of business. Cylinder and slide was like the original custom. I would say custom gunsmith that also sold parts. I'm certain that there's people out there that would disagree with that, but like you could get a cylinder slide stops and thumb safeties and parts for your revolvers and all this. And they've been around a long time. Well, apparently a couple of I guess they're good customers have teamed up and they bought cylinder and slide. They're going to keep it open, which just kind of warms my heart a little bit. So, like not everything has to be not every gun thing has to be consolidated under another brand or go out of business. It's like I think cylinder and slide could be viable. And I just was happy to see that. I did see, I don't know if you saw the video because you've been busy. I was over at Shooters at their new location and a guy came in, an older gentleman. I got to be careful when I say older
You're
because
talking to
I'm
one.
now in the old. Yeah, I'm talking to one. Well, I mean, I am too. Like this idea, it's like say stuff like, "Oh, it's an old guy," and I'm like, "Wait a minute, that guy's my age." I guess I'm an old guy too. Guy came in late '60s, early '70s, possibly, and this Remington 5.52 semi-automatic 22 rifle, and it looked. I'm not gonna say it was mint, but it was like very, very, very good shape. And he brought it in on consignment. And what was being asked for it was very fair because if you literally see him for double on Gunbroker, but they're new in the box on Gunbroker, like. But this is like so. I'm like, this is a totally fair price. I'm gonna
I was
buy
going to
this. So
ask, did
before
you
this
buy
guy,
it?
oh fuck yeah, we bought it, and we bought it before he walked out, but he walked out and um uh got in his car and like left the parking lot. We had bought the gun before he pulled out of the parking lot. It didn't hit, never actually hit the shelf. The cylinder or cylinder site. The shooters just had the, they had to, we had to do our
Right.
paperwork and then they had to
you
put
you
all
had
the
to pay the
information down to
$25
get it.
fee.
No, but we had to, he has to get it in his book. You know what I mean? He's got to book it. And like literally, it was out of his book before he put it in his book.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I mean, like technically that's like, but like it was like just let me put it on. He's got an X amount of time. I think you have 24 or you have if you take a gun in as an FFL, you have 24 maybe 72 hours to get it into your bound book. to log it. So he's literally when he logs it, he'll have the receipt to his intake receipt, log it in, and he's going to log it right back out like immediately. When he fills out it just was interesting. So I shot the gun. I was on the range doing a bunch of stuff before the rain came in. Then I was cutting all night, but I shot it after doing a bunch of drills. Like I was working and shooting and working, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna pull this gun out. And this gun's a hoot, dude. This gun, it's called a 5.52 Speedmaster. Remember it's called
No, I
Speedmaster?
didn't know.
And I'm like, yeah, it's tube fed. So you unscrew, it's got a little twist on the front, and you pull a tube. It's a brass tube that comes out the front of the gun, and then in the on the under the barrel is a little hole that's shaped just like the outline of a silhouette of a 22 long rifle. So it looks like a penis. Like it's got a little rim, it's elevated rim at the bottom, so you drop the rounds in one at a time. And I think I got 14 rounds in before I didn't know how much it'll hold, but because I didn't want to overfill it. But I mean, I was like, this is cool. And I was like, I wonder how fast you can shoot this gun, because shooting them and it's accurate, whatever. And it's like, but shooting a gun fast, you can really malfunction a gun. And literally, I was like, God damn, it thing works. And I actually on video, I don't have it published yet, but hearing it here first, everybody. On video, I took a shot at a steel target at 140 yards and hit it. I was like, dink, and it even got it on. The sound hit it on. It was like, wow, this thing is actually pretty accurate for what it is. So it's just a fun gun. I mean, it's nothing serious, but
I did see your article on bringing out the old pearl handle pimped 45. Oh, I'm sorry, elephant.
elephant. Yeah, it's not pearl. I was like a pimp in New Orleans. I was a pimp in Cincinnati. Give me a break. Get your cities right. I was a pimp in Cincinnati. New
Yeah,
Orleans
how
pimp.
come you brought the old trustworthy out just to blow the dust off it?
Well, I was shooting. We had a guy who was requesting. He was requesting drills that were indoor gun range friendly because he can't draw from a holster, he can't move, and he can't do rapid fire. So I was like, well, you know what? I used to do this like in the 90s. I did all my shooting in early 90s, early mid 90s. By late 90s, I was training professionally. But I do all my shooting at like an indoor gun range like everybody else. Like, well, I'll take lane 4. And so I have all of these drills and things that I'd come up with just to shoot. It was like, well, I might as well shoot the gun that I haven't, because I'm not going to shoot fast. I'm not going to shoot with a red dot. I can't, I can't do like, mags, reload mags, and like all this fast shit. I'm like, I might as well shoot the 45. And I did the holes in holes drill. Did you see that video? The holes in
Yes,
holes
yes, I
drill?
did. Yes, I did.
Dude, dude, I know like people that don't shoot the holes in holes drill. I'm real proud I got that on video. I was like, oh yeah, my old 45, baby. It's literally 5 shots. And I got a couple of those. It's 5 shots in a hole that looks like it might be 40, 48 caliber wide. It's like, dang, like this was that gun, that blued gun with the ivory grips was the gun that I built a career on, and it all came back, shooting. It's actually right here next to me.
Yeah,
But it
I
was
haven't
like,
heard
yeah,
of
that
dry
was.
fire. I'm very shocked.
Oh, it can be
No, no, no,
arranged.
no, 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 no.
That popped in my ear real
check your
loud. That
chamber.
probably
I don't
leaked. Yeah. Oh God, if I text Grubner on the podcast. Um, I'll tell you what. Speaking of which, we got to do a sponsor. We have a sponsor for this episode of the podcast. I want to do it before the storms come. So, because we could lose our
right.
power. So, let's see because we do live reads. So here we go. I'm gonna get this, Danny. Here we go.
Go.
Ready? National security experts are warning our aging power grid is more vulnerable than ever. January marked the third time a power station in North Carolina was damaged by gunfire recently. Authorities are saying the attack, quote, raised a new level of threat, unquote. Authorities are now checking our grid for vulnerabilities. They've identified 9 key substations. If these substations are attacked, power could be knocked out from coast to coast for up to 18 months. Imagine a blackout lasting not days, but weeks or months. Your life would be frozen in time right at the moment the power fails. Lights all over the country would go out, throwing people into total darkness. That's why having your own solar power is more important than ever. With the new Patriot Power Generator 2000X, you get a solar generator that doesn't install into your house because it's portable. You can take it with you, even use it inside. But it's powerful enough for your phones, medical devices, or even your fridge. And right now you can go to 4patriots.com. That's 4patriots.com and use code John1911 to get 10% off your first purchase or anything in the store, including the Patriot Power Generator. You also get their famous guarantee for an entire year after your order, plus free shipping on orders over $97, and a portion of every sale is donated to charities who support our veterans and their families. Just go to 4patriots.com and use code John1911 to get 10% off. That's 4patriots.com. Use code John1911 to get yours today. Hey, how was that for a live read? That wasn't bad.
No, you actually did very, very well. Very, very well. You know,
I got to tell you, an idea of a solar power generator that can run a refrigerator, I'm like, I got to see that. like we need to, I want to see that one. I'm like, they may have to send one of those over.
yeah, we'll plug it in.
Yeah, hey, if you have a Patriot Power Generator 2000X and you run a refrigerator off of it. I mean, look, we don't have any power at the John 1911 range. We could use one.
Well, if you get
So,
that storm what we got, you're not going to have any power.
yeah, we have at the armory we have backup power, but they've already banned gas stoves in New York, so it won't be long before they ban natural gas generators, which is what we run the generators off of, natural
Yeah.
gas. Did you hear that story?
No.
Okay, so do you remember when um, someone from the federal government for Biden administration released a document talking about that they were going to ban
Oh,
gas
yes,
stoves?
yes, I did
Yeah,
read that.
and then like immediately on cue, all the super libs are like, yeah, banning gas stoves, that's the greatest thing. We should talk about that and whatever. Like it became viable. And then what happens is the right news media, they're like, what? Like, what? You're going to ban gas stoves? Like, are you out of your mind? This is crazy. The gas stoves aren't even responsible for anything. And it got such a backlash that then the narrative turned. And the libs, including AOC, who all came out in favor of banning gas stoves, are all like, Republicans pounce. Can you believe that they believe that we wanted to ban gas stoves, and this is crazy. These people are just out of their minds. They just overreact to everything. 3 months later, governor in New York bans gas stoves for all new construction. It's like, all righty then. Like, okay, we're gonna keep putting the dude in a dress on a Budweiser can, on a Bud Light can, and then we're gonna tell everybody that this didn't happen.
Yep.
Just saying. Just saying.
It's going to come to a head at some point. I keep saying that. This being pushed and pushed and pushed into all these different new ideals that people don't want to accept. It's going to come to a head.
You know what? I want to ask you something. So you're a man of a certain age, 69, no matter which way you turn,
Sideways and up and down.
uh, sideways and up and down. And like I remember. Did you ever smoke?
Never in my life.
Okay, I've never smoked either, but my parents were heavy smokers. I mean, basically everybody smoked when I was a kid. Like you could smoke in school. Like there were places in schools to go smoke.
A teacher at my high
Okay.
school had a teacher smoking room.
Oh yeah, like there were student smoking rooms where when I was in school, and so mind you, like like you're a high school student at like what 14?
Yeah, 15. Yeah.
15, 14. Yeah. And it's like, okay, 15-year-old. So, okay. And do you remember, it was, they went, dude, they went after these cigarette companies like you couldn't believe. The secondhand smoke and the,
Right. Cause cancer on
the,
every package.
the
Right.
cancer, and then it was, all, all, 9 out of 10, they would talk about all the fake endorsements. 9 out of 10 doctors approve Marlboro. Like, I'm just made that up, but like they would do these fake things, and like, or like, oh, this study says, this whatever is good for you or can help with your whatever, and it turns out that the studies were being paid for by RJR
Yeah.
and all these tobacco companies, and it was big tobacco, and then like all this, and like it was commercial, and it was if you're under 30, you did not experience any of this. But it was you. I'm telling you, you would have big tobacco 30 years ago and 40 years ago was probably the biggest threat to this country, only supplanted by the Soviet Union. Or maybe I don't know, like some other crisis. Like, like it was a big deal. Like you couldn't, like it's like you started seeing, like you never, like all these places you can smoke outside, these little booths, like all this stuff popped up, in our lifetime, right,
Yes,
Danny?
it did.
And then in the past 10 years, there's been a growing more and more and more trend. Pot is fine. It's all natural. All it just it makes people tired, and all this other kind of stuff. And I'm like, and just as a person who grew up with the anti-smoking campaigns, all right, I'm like, if pot is so good, how come we don't let the tobacco companies just grow pot? Like, like if they can do all the tobacco, why can't they do all the pot? Like, I'm just saying. But then, but it's smoking, just the smoking part. Like, just wait a minute. Like, okay. And now I guess, everyone talks about how the pot is stronger and, all this shit in it, like it's more pure and professionally grown and all this other kind of stuff. So we went from smoking bad to, but pot is good. Let's legalize pot everywhere. And so now with the evidence is more and more evidence is coming in. So like I don't know, a couple years ago we started getting evidence outside of Colorado and adjacent areas where the amount of car accidents that were happening from people that were DWI, driving while intoxicated, or driving under the DUI, driving under the influence of of marijuana products. Okay. And then there were reports, and there's a growing body of evidence that people that smoke pot and have a high level use of pot are more likely to have like depression and chronic issues of depression. There's motivation and everything too, but the depression and all this other kind of stuff. Have you seen those studies?
No.
Okay, well they're out there, but the media doesn't want to talk about them because they don't get picked up. But if it was tobacco, it would be everywhere.
Oh,
Okay,
well,
and
that's
then
because it's part of the woke movement.
And then 2 or 3 years ago, we started. Do you remember we talked on this podcast of a phenomenon called scromiting? Do you remember scromiting?
Scromiting. It sounds familiar. I
Scromiting.
cannot
Scromiting
put my hand
is
on it.
a term that's used by ER doctors in states with heavy marijuana use, and it's a combination of screaming and vomiting at the same time. There are people, it's mostly kids, because pot good, pot is cool, that they're consuming so much pot, whether it's they're smoking it or they're vaping it or whether it's through food products or whatever, that they're overdosing on it, and they're showing up at these emergency rooms, and they scream and they vomit at the same time,
Uh,
and it's very dramatic looking. It's called scromiting.
wow.
And this is the thing. Like, this is, if anyone has worked in ERs, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Scromiting is a thing. And so, pot's fine. Smoking pots, all that's fine. I mean, again, I went through all the tobacco, how terrible tobacco is. Okay. Like I drove through Cincinnati yesterday and I smelled marijuana smoke coming down like one of the main roads in downtown Cincinnati. And it was like, what the fuck? Okay. But all right, it's fine. Hey, I'm just an old guy. So then there's a study. I'd say all that to say this. This week there was a study that came out. A guy, he's a brain doctor, and he's real big into dealing with depression. And he's actually, and this even crosses over into the gun stuff. He's the guy that did a bunch of research on Kip Kinkel's brain. Kip Kinkel's I think he's the kid that shot up the school in Kentucky. And he does MRI image brain scans of brain activity and deals with chronic depression and mood swings and and all these psychosis things. And he can look and function. And he looks at brains. He's got brain scans of people that drink alcohol, people that abuse drugs, people that smoke pot, people that brain scans of people that get punched in the head all the time. Like, it's really interesting guy. And he's got these brain scans, a wide range of brain scans of people that smoke marijuana, like, that smoke it a lot. And what he said, he's showing the brain scans, and he said, you look at someone who is, say, 30, and they're smoking a lot of marijuana, and you look at their brain, and their brain looks like it's 60.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
And
like
it's
lung
like,
cancer with cigarette smoking.
It's really, he says, I'm really against this. Like, what society? So, and this guy's not a conservative at all. Oh my God, he's not a conservative at all. He lives in California. He's not a conservative at all, at all. Okay, and it's like, okay, that's interesting. Then there was another study that came out. That said heavy marijuana use, particularly among teenagers, and this is because of the age of a teenager. It is not that because of the marijuana. I wouldn't do it to a 60-year-old. But like most, we know that if you're going to be diagnosed as a schizophrenic or paranoid schizophrenic, most paranoid schizophrenic develop schizophrenia between the ages of like 16 and about 25 or 27. Like, if you're 50, the chances that you're going to become a paranoid schizophrenic at 50 are astronomically small. Most paranoid schizophrenics have an age window when it develops. Okay? Well, they have determined through study that heavy marijuana use increases the chances of people that are in the range of developing schizophrenia by 30%.
Wow. That's
And
crazy.
I'm saying all of that to say this, and I sound like an old guy here,
You are.
and I am, and I'm not trying to be like tell people how to live their lives, but one thing as I have gotten older is, and I through observation, is I appreciate the wisdom of the ages. Like a farmer 1,000 years ago may not have understood that he wasn't at the center of the universe, but he could tell you on what days the sun was going to rise in what part of the sky, you know, through observation, and where the stars were going to be through observation, and and I remember when, like, when you would see the push against the anti-marijuana movement, they would talk about, oh yeah, I remember they used to talk about reefer madness, and they would talk about all this and all, and like a pot is a gateway drug, and reefer. They literally specifically, I remember. Oh, they remember they all laughed about reefer madness. Remember they used to tell people in the 30s, like reefer madness, like if you smoke pot, you're going to go crazy, and all this other kind of stuff. It's like, okay, I'm just going to make a point on reefer madness that everyone was like ha ha ha. And again, I don't smoke pot, so I was like, okay, I guess maybe that was a lie. Like, reefer madness might have been just marketing, to try to push an agenda, which we're all aware of. But I just described 30% rise in schizophrenia, brain damage, and scromiting from heavy marijuana users. In 1920 or 1900 or 1890, if I were to describe those three conditions of somebody, they would call that reefer madness. putting it out there is like maybe the wisdom of the ages is not completely based in, fable. Like it's not just
There,
shit made out of thin
there's
air.
some merit to it.
There could be, it may not be the complete truth, but it might be truth adjacent.
Right.
Like when they talk like the Bible and like a lot of these ancient texts, they talk about the great flood. And it's like, why is everyone talking about a flood? They're like, well, they started digging around. They're like, looks like there might have been a big flood. It's like,
Yeah,
different
yeah.
people had different
We found this
reasons.
ark.
Yeah, there different people had different reasons for talking about the flood. Like well, it was because of this or because of that or whatever. It's like, well, you know what? Maybe it looks like it might have been truth adjacent. There certainly looks like there was a bunch of water around. Like, so I'm just saying, like, you know, and I have a common theme that I make in a lot of my podcast or a lot of, a lot of stories that I tell is everybody gets a turn. Like the pro pot guys, they had their, they got the, the anti-drug people were like, just say no, whatever. And then they got hammered on reefer madness, and like we just started being more liberal. And the pro pot guys, they're like, oh no, this is all healthy and great, and like there's depression and all these issues and whatever. Now it's going to be their time in the barrel. They're going to get a turn, and then eventually something else will come out that will maybe go against a lot of the stuff I just said, and then like I'll get my turn. And one thing you learn in life is nothing is ever, things tend to revert back to the mean, and everybody gets a turn. And, if you want to cherry pick information just for your own argument, as opposed to looking at the totality of it, it's easy to be, you could pick on one thing and be like, see, I told you. But, it's just, I don't know. I thought the reefer madness thing, it's been mulling around in my head for a couple weeks. It's like, I don't know. There might have been something to that. Scromiting is like, really? Like, wow. Like, that's got to be. I mean, I've seen. I
Nasty.
look. I have done my part. I have held a girl's hair while she's vomiting in a toilet in some bar somewhere. I'm in the women's bathroom holding some girl's hair, fucking while she's puking her fucking guts out because the girls are like, we need help. It's like fucking we're going in, going into the girl's bathroom, and like fuck, this girl's a fucking mess. It's just like, oh my god. But it's like I'm just, I can't imagine like, yeah, going into the like, the girls are like, you got to come in and help us. You go in there, and there's a girl standing there screaming at the top of her voice, projectile vomiting out. Like that would be like, yo, baby, I'm out of here. Like I quit. I'm out. Like it's like the what was the famous movie where the girl where her body floated up in the air and her head turned around and she puked all around the
Oh,
room
The
while the priest
Exorcist.
is that the exorcist was like, whoa, you get to get a priest in here.
Well, as
Scrob
long as she wasn't levitating, you had no worries.
Little did we know that all this time The Exorcist was just an anti-pot movie.
That's
I mean,
right.
I'm just oh my
Oh
god.
man. So, anything on the blotters today?
You got to go.
Yeah. How long we been on it?
An hour and 15 minutes, about an hour and 13. We can go
Oh,
ahead and go.
yeah, that's fine. But, because now I'll be able to be more in tune or available. Thank
Okay.
God it's over.
So okay, I got 3 hits for the blotter, and they're pretty good. And the last one I'm going to
Are we going to
describe it with.
vote on them?
Well,
Top to bottom or no?
you know what? You vote with your heart. But
Okay.
the last one I'm going to describe it, but you're going to have to go to the website. You're going to have to listen to it. So
No, I
the
want to listen
first
to them. Go ahead.
the first police blotter story comes out of Nashville, Tennessee, in a hotel. Man wakes up in his room in bed sleeping, and to the hotel manager in his room doing something. Can you guess what the hotel manager was doing when the man woke up in his room from being fast asleep? Any idea?
I don't even want to imagine.
So of all the things you could imagine, how far down the list would be sucking your toes? It's like, what? Like, like you're in your room, you sleep, and like you wake up to a dude sucking your toes. I shit you not. And that's just the first police blotter. So, and
I
there's
mean,
a
I've
bunch.
heard of people with a foot fetish, but
Hey,
the,
look, some people were into the foot, some people were into the Vienna sausage. I'm just saying. We'll leave it at that. So, but the best part is,
did he? Yeah, but did he get a discount on the room from the manager?
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, but he gets a free copy of the manager's mugshot. They arrested the manager. The second one is a video. I'll have to put it up. This is in Oklahoma, and this is a bunch of old dads. At a you play golf, Danny?
No, no,
Yeah.
that's one sport that has never ever interested me whatsoever.
The only time I've ever played golf is my old boss invited me. He's a SWAT guy, and he's like, "You should go play some golf with us." They were all getting into golf, and I got like stabbed, like low key stabbed, and like I don't have to explain that. And I almost blew out my knee. Like it was like whatever. So, but anyway, they're these like a group of dads, and they're I don't know, they're on a golf course or something, and there's video of this, and they're all and there must have been some words exchanged with another group of, I guess, dads, like, hey, move it along or do whatever or shut the fuck up, like I'm trying to whatever. And, and it turns into, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, well fuck you, oh yeah. And so a big old fight breaks out. So the dads on the golf course that had gotten to an argument with a bunch of what they thought were other dads on the
Right.
golf course. The other dads on the golf course all turned out to be retired MMA fighters. In this video, like you and like this is like the typical, like, because you see this on, you see a dude that doesn't know how to throw a punch, like he thinks a punch comes from his arm and doesn't understand that the punch originates like with your foot and your leg and your hip. Like you get this dude that's throwing this punch, he throws it at this guy's face. Literally, the MMA fighter doesn't even sidestep it. He literally just moves his head. And hey, pro tip, I'm going to give a pro tip to everybody on the street. Whether you know how to fight or don't know how to fight, I'm going to help you out here. If you're on the street and you see a guy who is involved in fighting or about to fight, and he can move his head, part of him fighting involves him moving his head. And I don't mean like fuck you. I mean like the dude can move his head as far as defense. You best run, son. You best run, because anyone that can move their head in a fight, they know how to fight. And this guy literally, like, I mean, like, it's like boop, just dropping guys. Like, it is hilarious. It is hilarious. Third one, this is a show up on a Twitter link we'll have on the website, and it's a live news hit. And so there was a shooting in a BP gas station. It's always a BP gas station. I'm just kidding, BP. Don't sue me. That was a joke. Well, everyone knows it's McDonald's. And the shooting at the BP gas station, and two men are on the run, and they got this girl. She's a cute girl, cutish girl, and she's talking to the news crew, and she's like, I'm just showing up here. She seems like her heart is in the right place. She's like, I'm just showing up here. I just want to clear my man's name. He's not involved in this. And the cops, they're looking for him. They ain't never going to find him, because he and his whatever, they're at my mama's house. They're never going to find him at my mama's house. And I just want to come up here. I'm going to be, coming up here. I just want, and stand up for him. And I'm doing this, and while we're not married, he better marry me because I'm doing this. And then she looks at the camera, and she goes, "Is this live?" And they're like, "Uh-huh." And she's like, "Well, she looks at the camera, she goes, I'm coming, just tell, like Pookie and Ray Ray, I'm coming. I'm coming to get you because I love you. And I want to shout out my Instagram." And they're like, "You can't shout out your Instagram." And they cut her off. It's like this woman, she's on TV, protecting her boyfriend, not realizing she's ratting out her boyfriend, and it's just one of these.
Yeah, at the mama's house.
Yeah, if again, you know how like okay, another lesson. So if you're on the street and like you see a guy who's moving his head like like is it a fence? You better watch out. That dude really knows how to fight. If you're ever someplace and a news crew comes up and they want to talk to you, understand the following. News crews at these types of functions always find the dumbest person they can talk to. This is true because the dumb person will tell them everything that they want to know. And
Right.
if they're coming to you, they want to stick a camera in your face, I got bad news for you. You're the dummy of the day.
You've been targeted.
You've been targeted. And this wraps up episode 302 of the John 1911 Podcast. If you want to see different stories or pictures or links to everything we discussed, please go to the website at John1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Everybody, have a good day.
Bye-bye.